Hi, world. It's Shannon Marie. And it's Wednesday. What? I have the hiccups. I'm not going to start over. I was, but I'm not. I have the hiccups like crazy. Okay. So I just made a couple videos, and I really wanted to come back now and just briefly talk about my first conversation that I had with God. And it was years ago. I was in college, and I may have talked about this in a video. I'm not sure, but it's worth reiterating, and I'm sure I'll tell the story again in a video. But since I just mentioned this moment, I just wanted to like relive it because it was so amazing. So, when I was in college, I was working either at Starbucks or Subway. I think at this time I was working at Starbucks. Subway was my first job, and then I worked at Starbucks, and then Von Dutch. Yeah. So I was in college and I was taking fashion design classes, and I was very involved with our fashion organization on campus, and I was in school and I was working at Starbucks, and I just had a very busy life. And how I am set anyway, how I operate, not so much now after I've grown and become more wise, and just my consciousness level has gotten to a beautiful place, like a different place. That was beautiful too, just not as beautiful as it is now. My energy level, like not my energy, like what do I have energy for, but my energy that emits from my body, my being, my soul energy. Um, my energy was just set at a different pace, I guess I could say. I moved very fast. I even spoke a lot faster. I just moved fast, and I was in classes and um, meeting with advisors and meeting with the organization and doing fashion shows and going to work, and then trying to have some sort of social life too. So I was always, always, always moving. And this one particular day, I remember vividly. I was in a space very connected to heaven already, and I decided to take a shower. And in the shower, I realized later that in the shower was really one of the only times, or probably honestly could have been the only time, other than when I was driving in a car, that I got to be in a space where it was just silent and my mind had nothing to focus on. So I had the ability and the potential to, I don't know, my mind would wander like you do in a shower. You just think about whatever stuff. And so in this shower, though, I remember something was irritating me in my life, and I was feeling very passionate about it. And I remember saying out loud, God, why are things like this? And I was specifically asking about that situation. And I said, ugh, why are things like this? And I felt this very masculine energy, like surrounding my whole body, my whole being. But it was like so close, but so far. It was just like expand. I don't know how to even describe it. It was a feeling I'd never felt. And I talked to heaven before. This was like in 2008, 2009, maybe. I talked to heaven before, or maybe even 2007. I just don't know. I have to look at my journals to see, because I think I wrote about it. Um, yeah, like I had talked to heaven and my spiritual guides and my higher self. I didn't know who I was talking to then. I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew I'm being guided by heaven. Something has really been helping me. When I listen, it's better, and when I don't, it's horrible. So I was in that space. I didn't know what I know now. And so I'm in the shower, and I asked that question, and that's when I felt this energy already. I'm like, oh my god, what is all this crazy? It was awesome though, like amazing and euphoric feeling just having it around me. Um, and then after feeling the presence of God, I didn't know then. I didn't know at all. I felt the presence, and then I got an answer in my mind. And that's how heaven speaks to me for the most part. Like 90, like 90 something percent of the time. It's like a conversation I'm having with myself, except I don't say the other parts. It's like having a conversation with someone that's just not in front of you. But the conversation always ends up making sense and has a purpose and a meaning, and like, oh, I never thought about that. Like at the end, I'll be like, oh, thanks, I appreciate that. That's going to really help me moving forward with this situation or in my day or whatever. So I was aware of the presence of heaven in my life. So I was aware of how that realm can communicate with me. So I got this very wise answer, simple, like short and sweet, but powerful answer. And then I'm like, yeah, and so it didn't even register, right? I'm like, I thought it was like any other conversation with heaven. I'm like, yeah, but what about this? Like I did a rebuttal to that to that answer to my question initially. And then I got another very wise answer. And then I'm like, yeah, but what about this? So here we are having this conversation, and I wish I have to find that journal so I can see what that thread of conversation was. I am so curious to know what I said and what that voice said back. And it was just awesome. Like, so, and I'm kind of sassy sometimes. I'm like, yeah, but what about this? Like, that doesn't make sense. It's stupid. And then, but I got an answer. And I would say something back. And then I'd get an answer. And then I'd say something else back to ask another question or a more in-depth question, or like turn it a different way to get another perspective about the same situation. And I would get an answer every single time. And I'm not sure how it ended, but I remember drying off. And I'm like, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, oh, that was God talking to me. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God, that was God. Sorry. Girl, stop. Yeah, so I remember drying off. I'm like, holy smokes, that was amazing. That was God. Oh my God, it was like crazy, very intense for me. And then I remember going, because I had my cell phone plugged in, my little purple flip phone. I had it plugged in by my computer in the dining room. So I got dried off, I got dressed, and I went I had my own bathroom in my bedroom, and I walked out into my room, down the hall, to the dining room, to the table, and I saw my phone flashing. I had a text message on my cell phone. So I looked at my phone, and I had a text message from a friend. And we weren't even talking, though. It was like my friend Erin Moore. And I'm sure, hey, Erin. A shout out to you, because you made this moment happen. This is crazy. Like, you were an integral part of this whole story. So, and you didn't know what you were doing. You had no idea, and I don't think I ever told you. And I never will, but you'll probably see this. So I look at my phone, and it was a random chain text message. And the first words were, God just visited your house. Period. Yeah. God just visited your house. And then it was this long chain message. And it went on to say something like, I sent him there, this and this and that. And I remember looking at that, and I dropped my phone. Because in the shower, I knew that something very powerful was happening to me. I knew it in that moment. When I was drying off, that's when it hit me. Oh my goodness. That was God. And mind you, I told you, I felt the presence, this energy, this fatherly, sweet energy, powerful but gentle. I felt that before I even started having the conversation. So, and I knew that the feeling alone, this energy that was here with me now was different than any other heavenly experience. And I talk to heaven all the time. But I knew that this moment was different. So I felt it. And then the conversation happened, and I'm like going back and forth with these answers and questions, and I'm getting these wise, amazing answers. And I felt fulfilled after that conversation. And then when I was drying off, that's when it hit me. Oh my gosh, that was God. And then I get out of the shower to get a text message that just said, God just visited your house. Okay? So these are little ways that the universe and God and our higher selves and our spiritual guides speak to us. And passed over loved ones, friends, animals from past lives, we are guided. We are on this planet, and we have a whole team of heavenly people with us every day, every moment. Become aware of them. They're there. They're not wasting their time. They're guiding you. So that little voice in the back of your head, listen to that. If it's telling you to do something that doesn't feel comfortable or to hurt someone, then don't listen, because we have an angel and we have a little negative energy person too. There's a negative team always with us too, that feed on your negativity and your insecurities and your fear and your violence and your addictions. But the heavenly side feeds your power and your strength and your potential. So become aware of who's talking to you, because it's all happening. And I say commonly, how do you win a war that you don't even know is being fought? Let alone have the right tools to win the war. And that's why I'm putting myself out on such a limb talking about these wild things that, no one else talks about, because this is real and no one taught us this stuff. But God is real. Heaven is real. It's amazing. And I want to say too, this is like honestly as important as what I just said. The fact that God came to me is God is not a he though, because my awareness in my mind and my understanding of what God was that God was a male. That's how he presented himself to me. That's how God was presented to me. But even shortly thereafter, that moment, I began to become connected to the feminine energy of God. God is masculine and feminine for the most part. It's not for the most part. God has no gender. But for our understanding, it's a blend of masculine and feminine energy. It's not just the guy version of God. He's not some guy in the sky, some man in the sky. It's an energy who is masculine and feminine at the same time. And they complement one another. And they create a whole, just like a family creates. The husband and wife create a whole. Or even in a homosexual relationship, the energies are balanced. Even in plants, how they reproduce. So that's why I felt this fatherly masculine energy, because God's not going to come to me as feminine and masculine, because I don't know that to be God. I would not have recognized that to be God, a godly experience. I mean, maybe it would have been a godly experience, but I wouldn't have identified that as God just came to me. Heaven, our passed over loved ones, they come to us as they meet us where we are. Because if they came to us in all their glory, their high vibrational energy, how they are in heaven, we don't know what to do with that. We don't know what that means. What are you doing? Who are you? Get out of here. You're a freak. But that's why our passed over loved ones, and I call them polos, passed over loved ones, friends, family, animals, whatever, other angels and heavenly beings, and even other beings from different galaxies and stuff, different dimensions and different planets. Like if you have connections with them, they're there with you. They're in heaven. And when they show themselves, when they come and show themselves to people living on Earth, they most times, like your grandmother, she'll come back. Her energy doesn't look like grandma anymore. In heaven, like she's energy, no physical body. We don't have that in heaven. There's no need for it, but on the 3D realm, there's a need for it. We need bodies. So grandmother is not going to come to you as some light being, how she is in all of her glory. She's lowering her vibration to come to you and visit with you and talk to you. And maybe even just show herself to give you faith to continue another day. So, with all of that being said, please just know, heaven is real, and God is real, and they all come to visit us and guide us. Their purpose in being in our lives and signing up, like our spiritual guides, they basically signed up. Like they were probably a best friend or ex-husband or whatever. Who knows what kind of relationship you've had. But your spiritual guide signed a contract saying, I will be with you. As when you come to earth, I'll be with you always, guiding you. Please listen to me, but I can't force you. So that little voice that says go right, not left, and then you find out that there was an accident there, that's like, let that build your faith in heaven and God, because it's all real. So, thank you for listening. God came to my house. And I'm sure God's come to your house too. Just listen. Quiet your mind. God will come.